I find it fascinating that when I look at the back end of this podcast behind the scenes, of all the many thousands of people who listen to this show every single month, so few of them have actually hit that follow button, and even fewer have ever left us a rating or a review. If you enjoy the podcast and you get value out of it, then I would ask that you do us a solid and just take a small moment to hit that follow button. And if you want to go just one little step further, take a second to rate and review the show. It means nothing to you, but it means everything to me. And you just taking a small amount of your time to support the show is going to allow me to expand the reach of this podcast, bring it to more and more people, and continue to bring you more and more value every single week. So wherever you are right now, just take one moment, tap that follow button, and if you want to go just a little step further, leave us a rating and a review. Thank you so much for listening in and supporting the show. Thank you for being here today, and let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to the Conscious Love Show. Whether you are single, you are in a relationship, or you're healing a broken heart, this show is here to inspire you, to remind you how beautiful, lovable, and amazing you truly are, and to give you the practical tools and insights to navigate from wherever you are right now to the loving relationship that you so deeply want to have. My name is Shane Kohler. I'm a certified transformational coach and trainer with over a decade experience helping people release their trauma and open their hearts to love. I've delivered seminars all over the world, coached thousands of people through my online platforms and programs, and every week I'm coming straight to you with the hottest insights and the best teachers around, bringing you powerful resources and profound conversations to heal your relationship with love, dating, and yourself. I'm so grateful you're here, and if it's your first time, welcome. You can count on me to always show up for you with my very best and a commitment to learn and grow myself so I can serve you to my maximum ability. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. I've got some awesome things planned for you today. So without further ado, let's dive in. So Lazarova is asking, what about if sexual attraction is so much stronger, but emotional attraction is complicated for both? This is a beautiful question. And I want to start by saying that, look, if anybody wants to have sex with anybody, do it. I don't have judgment against it. I really don't. And I want to say that starting with sex is not the most advisable way to lead to a long-term satisfying relationship. And, so there's the science behind this, and the science says this, especially for men, is that a man is much less likely to make a long-term commitment if sex happens early on in the relationship. And there are lots of scientific studies that back this up. It has to do with the male sex hormone and how it interacts with the bonding hormones and what hormones need to be present for a man to build a type of invested attraction in a relationship. Now, is that 100% true for everybody all the time? No, it's not. Of course, there are exceptions. But there is strong scientific evidence supporting that. And there's also anecdotal evidence where women who have sex very early on with men often get ghosted afterwards. And I get messages from hundreds of women who have shared this with me. So there's the scientific evidence backing it. There's also the anecdotal evidence. Does it happen every time? No, it doesn't happen every time, but it happens often. So that's one reason. But even if you say, well, I've had sex with a lot of people and we were together for a year or 3 years or whatever. Here's another thing that happens that might even be more insidious than if you get ghosted right after you have sex with someone. The more insidious thing is that when you start having sex with someone early on, especially if the sex is good, especially if both of you want to keep doing it, you start having sex with each other a lot. And that sexual chemistry may drive the relationship for a year, for 2 years, before you realize you have nothing else. And now what has happened is you have wasted 2 years of your life in a relationship that fundamentally didn't have much going on. And, you had some great sex for a couple of years until that wore off, until you lost interest in that. And then there was nothing else to keep you connected to each other. And so that's 2 years of your life that, yeah, you were having great sex with someone. Maybe it was worth it. You'll have to decide that for yourself. But it's 2 years of your life. You could have been out searching for a partnership that had something more to it. And I want to say, like, I'm speaking on this from personal experience. So I'll share this, right? Some of you might judge me for this, but if you do, so be it. My wife is the only partner in all of my past relationships. And I've had, 6 or 7 relatively long-term relationships in my life. I've had some of those, or I've had even more like casual encounters in between those. My wife is the first relationship that I've ever waited with to sleep with each other. I don't necessarily think that's a coincidence, but I'm not going to say that's the only thing. There were lots of other things, but this is what happened in those 6 or 7 long-term relationships that I had prior to my wife. And when I say long-term, I'm talking about a year and a half long. In each of those relationships, exactly what I just described happened. We slept together the first or the second date, but we slept together very early on. Then we started sleeping together a lot, and I've never, ever ghosted a person in my entire life. Never once. I wasn't that dude who slept with someone, never talked to them again. That wasn't me. In fact, anytime I slept with someone, I usually wanted to do it again. So I've had, again, several relationships that lasted a year or so. And we would sleep together first, second date very early on. Then we would start sleeping together all the time. And again, exactly what I just described, this would last for about a year. But the truth is, the only reason we were together was for sex. Did we relatively enjoy each other's company? Sure. It was fine. I didn't hate the people. They were nice. It's fun to be around. Was I madly in love with them? Not really. Some maybe more than others. But in each of these relationships, what happened was we reached a point where the sex stopped being enough to fulfill our connection. There wasn't anything else there, and the relationship fell apart. And what happened with my wife, and we didn't even wait that long. We waited about a month or so. But what happened with my wife was that we built an emotional connection first. We talked on the phone every single night for 3 weeks straight. We had incredible conversations. And so when our relationship became physical, which again, it didn't take that long. We didn't have to wait that long. But when our relationship became physical, it was an extension of this deep emotional bond that we had already formed. And my wife was very clear, and, God bless her, because I didn't have the wisdom back then to set this boundary. If I ever found myself single again, I probably would set this boundary, honestly, because now I know a lot more than I did then. But my wife was smart enough to create this boundary, and she said, I want an emotional connection first. I don't want to just have a casual sexual encounter that doesn't lead to anything. And so she set that boundary, and I liked her enough to say, absolutely, let's do it. And now we're married, been together 8 years. We're having a baby, right? So it's like, I think it's easy to be sexually attracted to someone and just jump into bed with them and hope for the best. But I think it's not necessarily the most intentional or conscious way to start a relationship with someone. And I understand, like, everybody wants to have sex. Most people want to have sex. Like, I don't judge you for that. I'm the same way, right? Like, I think it's natural. But if we can just put that on hold for a little bit and see what else the relationship has, I think it bodes better for a long-term, deeply satisfying future. Now, take that advice or don't. Or if you don't really want a long-term relationship, then go sleep with whoever and just have fun. Like, that's cool too. But if you want like a long-term, committed, deeply satisfying partnership, I think just strategically speaking, There is a way to get a relationship on track for that, and ways that make it a lot harder or a lot more unlikely that a relationship is going to become that. So going back to your question, what if sexual attraction is so much stronger, but emotional attraction is complicated? Well, what you could ask yourself is, okay, do I just want to have a sexual relationship and not really worry about the emotional connection? And maybe you say yes, and that's fine if the answer is yes. Or maybe you say, you know what? Yes, I'm sexually attracted to this person. Yes, that would be the easy thing to do, but I would like to have a relationship that there's more to it than that. And so maybe I'm going to let this go and find someone I am more emotionally compatible with. Or maybe I'm going to tell this person that I want to hold off, and I'm going to see if we can develop more of an emotional connection before we go there. And at the end of the day, do what you want to do. I have no judgment about it. But again, I think if you do want a long-term committed, deeply satisfying partnership, prioritizing the emotional connection first is a great way to start. So thank you for the question. That's a beautiful question. Thanks again for checking out the show. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on the most. And I would love it so much if you leave a review and tell people what you think of us. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram @TheLivingRelationship to connect more closely. And I'm grateful to be supporting you on your journey to love.